Hello, this is Dr. Lauren Hyman, and welcome to Scooch Down, where you talk to your gynecologist like you talk to your friends. First trimester, second trimester, third trimester, you are this pregnant and you are waiting for those contractions to start. When do you call me? When do you call your doctor to let her know that you're going into the hospital to have that baby? Well, there are a couple of different scenarios. First, I want to talk about when you should call your doctor when you may not be going into labor, but you have concerns. The first would be when you're not feeling the baby move. Then you're going to want to let your doctor know so that she can make sure you're monitored appropriately and that your baby is nice and healthy. The second would be if you're actively bleeding. Your doctor will want to make sure, again, that there's nothing going on with the placenta or the baby. So you're starting to contract. You're getting them on, you're getting them off. Are they Braxton Hicks? Are they real? What are Braxton Hicks? Braxton Hicks are contractions that are sort of like practice contractions. They can be strong, or they can just be tightening of the uterus without actually being painful or strong, but they aren't dilating your cervix. You can have them quite early in your pregnancy, or you might not experience them at all. But the deal with Braxton Hicks is they are not putting you into labor. The thing about Braxton Hicks is they tend to be irregular and they stop. They don't continue. Braxton Hicks contractions may come on when your bladder is full. They may come on when you've been walking a lot or doing a lot of activity. If you've been doing a lot of activity and you're having Braxton Hicks, rest. If you've been resting when they come on, start walking around. Drink a lot of liquid. If your bladder's full, urinate. Generally, you want to do the opposite of what you were doing when you started to feel them. And again, they don't become stronger. They don't become more intense. They generally peter out after a little while and they don't dilate your cervix. But sometimes it's a little bit confusing. If you're having more than 6 painful contractions in an hour, more than a contraction every 10 minutes that is strong and painful, and you are not full term, your doctor's going to want to know about it to make sure you're not going into preterm labor. But let's say you are full term. Should you call your doctor as soon as you're feeling a couple of contractions? Well, it may be a little early. Most people want to wait until their labor is nice and strong until they call their doctor and go into the hospital. Why? Because the latent or first part of the first stage of labor can take hours and hours and hours. And the longer you can stay at home, the more comfortable you're going to be. So we want you to be contracting every 2 to 3 minutes for at least 2 to 3 hours, strong, quite uncomfortable, regular, before you make that trip into the hospital. If this is not your first baby, if you're a second or third time mom, you don't have to wait as long. Contractions every 5 minutes for 1 or 2 hours. And of course, if your previous labor was rapid or if there's anything else going on, you're going to want to get to the hospital sooner rather than later. Now, what if you break your bag of water and you haven't been feeling any contractions at all? Well, we generally encourage you to get to the hospital. The sooner the labor process is started, the more likely you are to have a successful vaginal birth. Of course, if you're scheduled for a C-section and you break your bag of water or are having strong, painful contractions, it is definitely time to call your doctor and get into the hospital because your cesarean section may happen quite a bit before the scheduled date. I've mentioned Group B strep in another segment, and I want to bring it back here. If you know you are Group B strep positive and your water bag has broken, you're going to want to get to the hospital sooner rather than later to get the antibiotic prophylaxis started, since we want at least 2 doses 4 hours apart before the baby's born. Different doctors have different requests when it comes to contacting them. For some doctors, they want you to go straight to the hospital when you think that you're in labor. That way the hospital nurse can evaluate you and give the doctor more information when he or she calls. Some doctors are going to want to be notified first so that he or she can meet you at the hospital when the process is underway. There are many different ways to have your labor jump started, either with contractions or with your water bag breaking, and you never know how your big day is going to get started. This has been Dr. Lauren Hyman. Thanks for tuning in to Scooch Down. I'll see you next time.